should Iowa football fans feel about Iowa's lack of success in the transfer portal so far this offseason? Plus, we'll take a look at the Big Ten as a whole. All 14 teams, compare them by number of entries into the portal, number of commitments, and we'll also look at the ratio, the percentage of gain versus loss so far achieved for each program via the transfer portal. But first, a reminder, please subscribe to this channel if you've not already done so, as we continue to try to build the brand of From the Hawkeye of the Storm. Of course, Big Ten and especially Iowa content. But if you're a Big Ten football or a college football fan, we've got you covered, and of course, college basketball in full swing as well. So let's get right down to the numbers. The comparison of Iowa versus the rest of the Big Ten. If you're an Iowa fan, of course, you may have seen the video produced a couple days ago looking at Iowa's entries into the portal. Iowa, of course, losing 5 different players during this offseason. And of course, when I say this offseason, that includes any players that may have entered the portal during the 2021 football season. So with that being said, let's look at the numbers for Iowa and the rest of the Big Ten. So you can see here, first of all, this is just in alphabetical order, okay? This is in alphabetical order in the Big Ten Conference. You see the teams in the West Division. They are in black font. You see the teams in the East Division. I've made it simple there in white font for you so that if you're confused about the divisions, there you go. So you see Iowa there, 5 entries, 0 commitments, pretty low numbers on both fronts. You look at Illinois, 10-2, Indiana, 18 entries, 7 commitments. Of course, Maryland, a high number, and you can kind of see going down the list there. But let's look at this organized in a different fashion, because this will kind of help us to get an idea if you compare the teams. Let's first look at this list organized by number of entries. So you see here Iowa with the fewest number of portal entries, and it's really not even close. Iowa blowing out everybody else as it relates to retaining roster talent. So Iowa with just 5 players leaving. We know the names: Josiah Miamin leaving for Florida International, Quavon Matthews, he's gone as well, Tyrone Tracy leaves, Deuce Hogan leaves, Desmond Hudson heading up to the UNI Panthers. Northwestern at 9, they're in second place in that category. Penn State with 9, Illinois with 10, Michigan with 10, Purdue 12, Wisconsin 12, Ohio State 12, Nebraska 13, Rutgers 14, and now you start getting to these teams that have had huge hits via the transfer portal. Minnesota with 17, having left so far. Indiana with 18, Michigan State with 18, and Maryland. Man, the Terrapins, 21 players lost to the transfer portal. That is a mind-boggling number. Let's take a look at this list now, organized by number of commitments, because certainly that is a factor in all this as well. We know Nebraska lost 13, but they gained 12 players via the transfer portal, including a couple new quarterbacks, one of which will probably start during week 0. Minnesota gaining 8 players thus far, Indiana with 7, Michigan State with 7, Rutgers with 6, Northwestern, Purdue, Wisconsin all with 5, Maryland has gained 3, Penn State with 2, Illinois with 2, Ohio State with 2, Michigan just 1 player gained to 10 lost. Iowa, the only team in the Big Ten Conference to have not gained a single player so far via the transfer portal. So you probably saw that column on the right, gain-loss percentage. Let's look at the list here organized by gain-loss percentage. In other words, number of entries to number of commitments. Nebraska, you could say, is in first place in this regard. Again, losing 13 but gaining 12. They're batting over 900. You see Northwestern, quite a jump down with, again, 9 entries to 5 commitments. Minnesota, Rutgers, Purdue, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan State, Penn State, Illinois, Ohio State, Maryland, Michigan. We can't really say that Iowa's batting 0 because they haven't gotten any. You can't divide 5 by 0, so that doesn't work. Now, how should you feel about all this? I know there's a lot of numbers that I'm tossing out at you here. I guess, again, it's up for interpretation. You can play this both ways. If you're a critic of Kirk Ferentz in this program, you can look at the fact that Iowa has not done anything as far as acquisitions so far in the portal and say, look, Iowa's not keeping up with the times. You've got to be active in the portal. But if you're on the other side, you can look at this and say, look, Nebraska, who's been one of the worst programs in the Big Ten in recent memory, they've gotten 12 commitments, but there's a reason for that because they lost 13. Iowa has lost the fewest number of players via the portal. Now, could Iowa still lose players? Certainly, but so could Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, the teams that have already lost a bunch of guys. That is possible. Could we see more guys from Iowa leave after spring? I don't think it's a matter of could we. I think it's a matter of when we will see that, because there are going to be players that leave. I'm not saying Alex Padilla, but you'd have to think that Iowa's probably not going to be able to retain both of those guys long term, whether that happens after the spring or not. We know Iowa has been somewhat active in the portal, going after guys like Nate Pete, and then of course they did miss out on Hunter Norzad from Cornell. He committed to Penn State this week. That was the big one, of course. Iowa's still in on Steven Stilianos from Lafayette, tight end from out east, and they are also in on Cam Butler, defensive end out of Miami, Ohio. So those two guys still on the board, and certainly I would expect Iowa to be involved with someone else. Again, haven't heard any other names as of right now tossed around, but those are the numbers. I'm just giving you the facts. You rationalize it or interpret it as you will. Iowa with the fewest number of portal entries this cycle and the fewest number of commitments. A big bagel. So again, take that and interpret it as you must. Appreciate everybody listening this afternoon to the video. Again, subscribe if you have not already done so. We'll be live with you Sunday after Iowa-Nebraska basketball leading up to the Super Bowl. But we'll be live with Gary Close after the game, Iowa-Nebraska, Sunday afternoon. We'll talk to you soon.